Welcome back to a new episode of Unscripted Liberation Codes. I'm Mario's co host, Alex Liberato, a moderator at Soul Nexus on Reddit. And I am here with the legendary, the multiversal, the super uber duper powerful Blu ray Bodhisattva, Salsa Shaman, Mario
What's up,
Mijares.
everybody? Yeah, hey, Alex.
Hey.
Haven't we haven't been on in like a couple weeks, and then Mercury went retrograde April 1st, and then I had my grandfather who passed, and then the next week I had another tragic passing in the family, and the solar eclipse. There was just So it's nice to be back, and on the podcast and continuing. So we're gonna try to keep it short this time, but spicy, very spicy.
That just like your salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Just
my
like the
god.
salsa.
We got
Yeah.
something. We got something teed up that you wanted to get
Yes.
get off your cosmic chest. Should I pull it
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. Well, before you pull it up, I right before we got online, I was using the restroom, and I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I came across this video, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, this video is total garbage. This is total bullshit. And it just kind of like really, put a wild one in me. And I just kind of want to show it to you all and just talk shit about it a little bit, because it's also related to, a lot of other things on the internet that are just stupid. So, here we go. Play it.
70 years because they are mentally strong. After 40 years, every eagle has to make a difficult decision. Its claws are no longer sharp enough to hunt. Its beak becomes bent and blunt, and its feathers become thick. The eagle has two options. Either it dies, or it goes through a painful change. This painful change is that the eagle must go to the mountain and hit its beak on a rock for 150 days until it falls out. When the old beak falls out, a new beak grows in. With a new beak, the eagle pulls out its claws. When the claws fall out, the new ones grow in. The eagle plucks out its feathers. This painful journey takes 150 days, but after doing this, the eagle gets a new life. Sometimes we need to get rid of our old self in order for a new and better version to emerge. If you were able to watch until here, let me know by commenting a fire emoji, as it shows you are a person who always wants to be better every day. Eagles can live up to...
Okay. So, that entire video is total bullshit. I mean, eagles are fucking awesome, majestic, and are mentally tough. And I get the message they're trying to put out there, like life gets hard and we have to push ourselves and go through a transformation. But that entire thing that they're claiming about eagles is completely false. It's not facts at all. And then towards the end, it says leave a fire emoji, if you agree with all this or whatever. And you can see like tons of people are like fire emojis, like, oh my god, amazing, badass, blah 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 blah. And if you watch that video with just a little bit of discernment, just a little bit of critical thinking, you know first off, 150 days on a mountain in pain. Nothing can live that long without being able to hunt and eat. 150 days. There's 360 days in a fucking year. That's months we're talking. So right away, hearing that, you should be like, what? That's insane. And the other thing in that entire video where they're showing all these cool clips of eagles, not one of those clips is an eagle bashing its fucking face on a rock to tear its beak out. And you don't see any eagles in the process of growing a new beak or tearing its claws out or tearing its feathers out. And so I saw that, and it just like really got annoying because of how many people just believe that. You can paste together a bunch of nice clips and put some heartfelt, touching musics that plucks on the heartstrings, and then have a voice that's eloquently speaking, and people are going to believe it as if they're watching fucking National Geographic. This is fucking social media. And everyone's just taking that in and believing that. And that's a huge problem. Like, I don't really so much want to make fun of the people believing that. I want to mostly point out the issue of our society. You know, I've definitely have taken in things and believed it without doing any research, you know, but I try very hard not to do that anymore. But this video, you can clearly see that it's totally bullshit if you're just thinking just a little bit. And and to me, I see things like that as like a social experiment to see, okay, how ridiculous of like bullshit things we can just leak out through social media and ask people to comment a fire emoji and see just exactly how much of the populace we can manipulate to start absorbing things and then believe it as facts, knowing that they'll never fucking check it. And then
Yeah.
they'll go around propagating it, telling everybody this tale of the Eagles. And then the other people who hear it probably won't fact check it as well. And you know, we're at this point in our society where like where it's inconvenient to take an extra step to just research something real quick, to just type it in Google, you know, like it's people can scroll all day and like and comment fire emojis, but the moment you ask somebody on your platform, you know, blah blah blah, just click the link in my bio, then it's an inconvenience. Then it's like, oh, I gotta go to your profile, click the link, go to your open another window, I don't want to do that, but it's no problem to fucking spend an entire minute watching a video that's total bullshit. And so I just wanted to point that out. And you know, because it's sad and it's scary. You know, it's scary to see how much people believe that shit. And you know, this is related to another image. We don't have the image to pull up, but a while ago, maybe a year or two ago, there was this picture going around social media of a cat, a cute, adorable cat with a leaf in its mouth.
Hmm.
And then there was a long story description. There was like, this cat was seeing that people in his village were coming up to a fisherman and giving him money to buy fish. And so the cat started coming up to the fisherman with the leaf as his currency to get a fish. And now every day this cat comes to the fisherman with a leaf
Oh,
to
I've
get
seen
his
that.
fish, you know, and like this long story, right? And then I'm like commenting on it, and I'm like, bullshit. I don't believe it. I'm not saying that something like that can happen, but if this is happening every day, where's the video? This is the picture. And if you look closely at the picture, it looks like someone fucking took a picture behind a fucking patio screen door. And you can see behind the cat that there's patio furniture, and the cat is on a fucking deck, on someone's deck, you know? And it's like, everyone's believing it, right? They're like, oh my God, because it's a heartfelt thing and cute cat or whatever. It's just completely bypasses anybody's critical mind and goes straight into the subconscious mind. And you're just fucking, they're just toying you. They're milking you. They're just fucking jerking you off. And you don't even know it. And it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans
And
are
I'll stop there.
no, I mean,
I'll get off
I
my
think the
soapbox.
thing that pisses me off from that clip, I love that it's like the funny little thing that sets you off, because I probably would have seen that and been like, whatever. But like I'll have that thing where I'm like, I will fucking die on this hill. And I think something funny about the dying on the hill with the eagle clip is you hear this like AI generated Wilford Brimley voice, right? So it sounds like a cowboy is telling you this, and then it gets to the end and it's like, show that you were listening by giving me a fire emoji. And I'm trying to imagine Wilford Brimley saying fire emoji out of his actual mouth. But seeing everybody reply with that shows you how Pavlovian and programmable this species is or has been up until this point. I do think I do see great hope and glimmers of like discernment. Like people are really just kind of like, there was a story circulating on Reddit where they were like, did you know that all this time ago Genghis Khan, when he died, he had a lavish funeral and thousands of people showed up, and then they killed everyone who went to the funeral so that his grave would be ultimately secret. And then you kind of read that and you're like, oh, that's one of those like bullshit, like tall tales that is just stupid. Like, we can't believe in Atlantis, but we can believe in this. Sure. And then you just see all these
Right.
people in the comments go, how do we fucking know this story? Isn't everyone dead? Didn't this great
Right.
party happen and then everybody, like, I don't know, killed? And so there's discernment. Discernment is coming through, I do think, but there is
Mhm.
a lot of like programming, and it's
Mhm.
unfortunate. Like, we have to take the good with the bad. Like, if
Yeah.
we're going to live in a free society and have freedom of access to stuff, our discernment needs to be elevated, for sure.
Mhm.
And we haven't been taught critical thinking skills. So it's
Mhm.
kind of funny to watch, say, a governmental entity be like, oh, speech is dangerous. I need to take speech away from you. And it's like, well, in our public schooling system, you didn't teach me critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
So sounds like it's kind of a
Yeah.
you problem. But anyway,
All they taught us in public schooling was how to respect authority.
yeah,
How to respect
like the Mormon
authority
church.
and
Yeah.
titles. That's
Mm-hmm.
all they taught us. And you can see it from like my grandfather and my parents and my elders growing up. They'll be like, well, that person has a lot more education than me, so they're smarter than me, and I'm not even going to form an opinion because that's just that I don't have an authority to have an opinion on that. And I'm like, that's fucking retarded. um but I also wanted to bring in how astrologically, since 2012, we have been going through a mini age of deception. We're going to talk about Jupiter and Uranus forming a new synodic cycle on this episode, but just tying this thing up about discernment and being easily deceived. Neptune entered Pisces in 2012. And the last time Neptune entered Pisces was like 160 some years ago, give or take some years, but a long time ago. And Neptune and Pisces, these are both energies that govern illusions,
Mm.
fantasy, imagination, other dimensions, trickery. Neptune, the planet Neptune governs Hollywood movies, because what are movies? They're projections, on a screen, and so that's all Neptunian imagination realms. When you watch a movie, what are you doing? You're entering into that whole other reality that came from an imagination, from a thought, written down and then created into this motion picture. So Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012, and I and other astrologers, we've been calling it the mini age of deception, because it's a period where humanity can be easily deceived, where we can easily believe things as fact and real, by seeing it on the screen, by hearing it someplace. But the other thing that Neptune and Pisces has been doing since 2012 is it has been accelerating the evolution of humanity's ability to interact with the supernatural, to interact with the divine. So since 2012, we've also been steadily been experiencing an increase in synchronicities, an increase in alien contact, an increase in dreams. Uh, you know, After 2012, like the whole movement of truth and spirituality and star seeds, like really started to kick off. I mean, it's been there the decades before, but it wasn't until Neptune entered Pisces where people started having more synchronicities, more dreams, and whatnot that awakened them to through their journey. But part of the journey has been realizing what parts of your psychology are operating in some sort of diluted fantasy. And so it's very intense. But anyways, that's I see this connected to Neptune and Pisces, and so today we're going to talk about Jupiter and Uranus starting a new synodic cycle, which is going to occur on 420, April 20th, this Saturday. And Alex, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I actually want to ask, as you set this up, is this something that punches through illusion, that makes illusion like evident? It would be interesting to kind of hear the thoughts on that. I don't know if you have the chart to pull up for 420. It's not super necessary.
I might. No, I don't have it up at the moment, but I can pull it up. But great question. So right now, Saturn is in Pisces. Okay, the last time Saturn was in Pisces was 30 years ago. So Saturn represents karma. Saturn is the lord of time and the ruler of the physical world, the physical reality. Saturn is all about rules, structures, discipline, and authority. And so, going into next year in 2020, 2025 and 2026, both Saturn and Neptune are going to, they're going to conjunct at the very end of Pisces and enter Aries together. And then they're also going to retrograde back into Pisces and then enter Aries together again. So what I've been telling people over the last couple of years, now that Saturn is in Pisces and both Saturn and Neptune are going to start a new synodic cycle while entering Aries at the same time, is that this particular Saturn Pisces transit, when Saturn finally catches up to Neptune, it's going to be the awakening, like a very intense spiritual awakening, where we are realizing the truth, the level of the pain that we are all actually operating in. So this is people waking up from their own dream spells, because each and every one of us, through our minds, through our belief systems, are projecting our reality experience. This is a hologram, and we know that, and we're all plugged in one main hologram experience while having our little pockets in it. It's like, there are many realities, but there's one world. And so when Saturn catches up with Neptune, this is people like, so an example that I can share is in my spiritual journey, when I first started out in this whole realm of spirituality, I entered the gates through Satanism as a 17-year-old teenager, and for like the first 4 or 5 years of my spiritual journey, I openly identified as a misanthropic spiritual Satanist, meaning I hate mankind, I hate all people. I'm spiritual, but I'm spiritual in alignment to satanic practices. What a load of bullshit, But it wasn't until 4 or 5 years into my spiritual journey where I realized that my current identity of myself and my spirituality is only the way it is because there is a deep-seated childhood trauma that I am unconscious of. And so I'm identifying with misanthropic hatred of all mankind, because all I've seen within mankind are really nasty things, and I don't trust anybody, and I'm afraid of people, right? So then I realized, okay, then the whole Satanist thing, the whole Satanist thing made me feel strong. It gave me a sense of false power, and then I realized, like, oh my God, like I am really just a wounded child, you know what I mean? And I went through that intense transformation of letting that go and so that's what I'm talking about with Saturn and Pisces catching up to Neptune in the coming years. This is going to be a massive collective awakening where we are going to wake up to our entire, dream spell. And this is why I say, like, things like 9/11, hasn't really hit people like on the soul, because when we really think about, so like today I can say 9/11 was an inside job, and we'll all go ha ha ha, we'll laugh about it, we'll say yes, and we'll have all these facts of proving yes, it was an inside fucking job. But then what happens after that? There's a part of that
what are the
that's
ramifications?
Well, the ramifications after 9/11, what they did to the airlines, how much extra money we had to pay for luggage, like, oh, and then not only that, but then all the people that went to war for this. Everybody has somebody in their life that went to war, or you went to war yourself to do something, to fight, terrorists that were you know, developing weapons of mass destructions for a fucking lie, dealing with an insight. And so that kind of stuff hasn't really like sunken in viscerally yet, you know,
No,
on
not even
what
into the
all of that,
truthers.
not even to the truthers, on what all that really means. So there's a disassociation, you know, so because we can be aware of all of the things, right, and talk about it and even make memes and jokes about it, but there's like a level of there's still a disassociation of it, because the pain of what that really means is too much to experience. It's too much to actually embrace and move through as a collective society. And plus there's a lot of fear behind that. There's a lot of fear behind that, because what does that mean? What does it mean to then awaken and realize that as a society, we have to then initiate ourselves into being warriors and fighting, you know, these people that are ruling the fucking world and doing this kind of shit, and continuing this nonsense, you know? Same thing with like George Floyd. That was a sacrifice, you know what I mean? And oh man. And so Saturn and Pisces meeting with Neptune in the coming years, the way I see it is everybody waking up from the dream spell. And then Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are going to start a new synodic cycle while jumping into Aries at the same time. And what is Aries? The warrior. Okay.
Yep.
So right now we're going through this massive, like weird, supernatural, spiritual cleansing where we're having to wake up to certain components of our own psychology, of our own belief systems that are actually still operating in this vibration of being helpless, of being a victim, of being small. And, you know, it's there, it's operating there in very subtle vibrations. And so once the realization of this occurs, then there is a surrender and a massive healing that realigns and awakens us on a profound level. And then once those two planets, Saturn and Neptune, leave Pisces and go into Aries, then it's like, I'm healed, I realize it, I see it, and now I gotta fucking do something. I have to fucking do something, you know? And I'm not saying like we're going to go to war. That's a potential. But the way I see it more is like, now I have to take action in doing something, whether it's pioneering or engineering or creating something new or creating something different, or actually organizing mass groups of people, you know, to really take the power back. You know what I'm saying?
On a local level, like
on a local level. Yeah. Agree. So you know, right now Saturn is only about 14 degrees in Pisces, so we're only halfway through this realization. And so the last time Saturn was in Pisces was 30 years ago, and I believe it was also right when Tupac died, right when Tupac died or didn't die, you know, it was right around that same time. I don't know the exact dates or years, but look at 30 years later, what's happening with the hip hop industry? You know, things are coming into surface, and that's Saturn. Saturn serves out the karma. And so, and not only in the music industry, but also the Hollywood industry as well. And things have been surfacing, but now they're surfacing in a bigger way, you know, in a way we haven't seen before. And so Saturn coming back around in Pisces, where it was 30 years ago, it's dishing out that karma of the activities of what was happening 30 years ago, which is also, on a personal note, why for me, 30 years ago, during those years, 1994, 1995, that's when I was first being taken into the secret government programs. And so this is why this time in my life right now is there are more things coming up for me in terms of me remembering, and it's very potent. And then look at where I'm at right now. I'm about to fucking speak at a conference about disclosure and the secret space program 30 years after first being taken. And they say, you know, for super soldiers that, you know, the MK Ultra and the programming starts to fade away right around 33, post 33. And the way that I'm seeing it and understanding that astrologically is like, okay, if they're taking people between the ages of 3 years old and 5 years old, then 30 years later, that's Saturn coming back around to the point when they were taken. So then that karma of what happened to them is being dished out and contributing to waking up and remembering and those energies surfacing to having to be seen and processed, because I am uncovering much more connections now than I've had in the last 3 years of this realization that I've been in such programs. Does that make sense? And that's because Saturn is back around, and so that karma is being served out.
That's wow. That's huge. And it also seems like there's an acceleration underway. Like the tribe is coming
Mm-hmm.
together, people you've really connected with, you're building and fostering community around this, around like shared experiencers. And that's huge because you were kind of like on an island. I mean, I remember when you were making the realizations in Portland, and it was
Right.
it was a little bit like coming out, like metaphorically, like coming out gay a little bit. I mean, you're not and you weren't, but like it's similar to that sort of like, I mean, when I kind of come out with this, it's everything. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think it's really kind of now you're like stepping into your own, and and so it does seem like astrologically aligned, and I think that's true for everybody. This is your specific experience, and then there's like, UFO experiencers like me, and we're all kind of coming together in a tribe like kind of shared fashion, and so many people, and even people who are just not cosmically minded at all. Like, I've been a lawyer all this time and I just really want to be a baker, and then they're gonna take shifts and steps to stop feeding some national like money grubbing entity, and then build local reality on their level, be a baker in their neighborhood that desperately needs a nice bakery, and then become a little like local node. And that's a revolutionary act. I mean, it seems
Yeah.
mundane and boring and like, well, who cares about bread? But it's, it is revolutionary. So I think
Yeah.
it's all coming online for the human collective. And it's really heartening to see, because when we started with that video before, where it's like, do the fire emoji after you watch this bullshit video, and you just watch the programmed people just be like, I will automatically do that. Um, People at
Mm-hmm.
a slot machine in a casino, just like pressing a button again and again. And that scares one. But I really do think this collective energy is just lighting a fire under all our butts.
Yeah. 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 I mean, 150, an eagle without a beak for 150 days.
It just pisses you off because you're a
On,
condor.
I know, right?
It gets
So
it gets under your craw.
get some.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm great. We lost all our
Uh,
viewers just now.
oh, fuck it, they'll come back.
Yeah,
Um,
no. We would
maybe,
be doing
maybe.
this on the phone anyway, so fuck
Right,
it.
right, right. But I like that example you use about lawyer, but really want to be a baker, and food, and seems mundane because food. Because now going back to the Jupiter Uranus starting a new synodic cycle in the sign of Taurus. So first off, Jupiter and Uranus, they come together in a conjunction, which means starting a new synodic cycle once every 14 years. So the last time Jupiter and Uranus came together was 14 years ago. So this is a big deal, and this is probably one of the bigger astrological events of the whole year. And it's happening in the same month as the solar eclipse, the other biggest astrological event that's happened all year. So what does this mean? So the way I've been describing my clients when I'm giving them readings of this Jupiter Uranus conjunction is this is a massive worldwide thunder lightning storm where the lightning bolts are a mile wide, and they are creating and it's generating massive amounts of energy. And when the lightning bolts strike, it's hitting the earth and re-terraforming it and causing massive cracks and earthquakes and awakening the entire world. Why do I give it that description? Well, let me describe to you what the planet Uranus is. Uranus in astrology is the planet that governs all things random, sudden, and seemingly unpredictable. And so Uranus also governs rebellion, destruction, rebellion and destruction, a higher mind, genius energy that wants to revolutionize humanity. And so part of revolutionizing humanity means deconstructing and going against the traditional norms and status quo. So that's why Uranus can sometimes be destructive. And I describe Uranus as in the tarot, the tower card, Uranus is the lightning bolt that is striking the tower. And when you're looking at a lightning storm, there's no way to predict when and where exactly the next lightning bolt is going to occur. And then there's no way to predict the pattern of least resistance that lightning is going to take as it's moving. So Uranus is the higher mind. Mercury in astrology represents the brain. It represents how we process information, our hand-eye coordination, how we develop skills. It's connected to our nervous system and how we communicate. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So Mercury represents my brain, my mind. Uranus represents the higher brain, a higher mind that is connected to cosmic, galactic sources of information. So it's very advanced. And so right now, Uranus being in Taurus, it's so Uranus, when Uranus is coming around, Uranus brings instability. Uranus is an unstable energy. Just imagine trying to capture lightning, you know? Uranus is an unstable energy, unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen, but you do know that it's high level genius. So as a symptom, Uranus brings anxiety, restlessness, agitation. And Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is a fixed earth sign. This is money. This is resources. This is land. This is food. So Taurus is the sign of the producer. Taurus wants to produce things of value, and things of value cost money. And it is fun. So when Uranus is in Taurus, it is a period where those Taurus themes are unstable, where the world economy is unstable, where food is unstable. And it's also a period where there is like genius evolution occurring within those realms as well. And this time around, with Uranus being in Taurus, we're seeing the rise of cryptocurrency, online banking, blockchain, decentralized banking. We're also seeing things happening with our food, with GMOs, lab printed meat, because Uranus is the scientist, you know, and Uranus is in Taurus right now. So Uranus is doing all this crazy shit in those realms of food, money, economy, and resources, land, things of value, you know, 15-minute cities, all that kind of stuff. So Jupiter in Taurus. What is Jupiter? Well, in our solar system, Jupiter is the biggest fucking planet. Jupiter is so freaking huge. So translating that in astrology, Jupiter represents expansion. Jupiter brings massive expansion to anything he comes in contact with. But Jupiter also governs luck, fortune, good fortune, luck, long distance travel, spiritual protection. Because if you guys didn't know, Jupiter in our solar system protects Earth from a lot of meteors that could potentially clash with Earth. Because it's so massive, Jupiter is able to grab meteors into its orbit and redirect it. So in astrology, Jupiter is also spiritual protection. But Jupiter also represents philosophy, spirituality, and traveling the world to try to discover and understand what is the meaning, what is the purpose. So Jupiter, you know, is like the philosopher, the guru, someone who's traveled the world and now, you know, like Moses going to the mountain and contacting God and discovering what the whole meaning is. So Jupiter, the great expander, Uranus, the lightning storm. So Jupiter and Uranus coming together, this is a worldwide lightning storm. In Taurus, food, money, economy, earth, value systems. So with this new synodic cycle of Jupiter and Uranus coming together, it's generating a massive storm to open up, a portal, so to say, a portal to take a massive quantum leap into the future, because your Uranus, is very future oriented. Uranus is quantum, computers, science, advancing consciousness, advancing engineering, and Jupiter is expansion, luck, and fortune. So when these two planets come together every 14 years, it is a period where humanity is going through an accelerated, rapid rate, and quantum leaping. So Jupiter and Uranus coming together at this time is going to accelerate things to happen in our society and in our personal lives. Jupiter and Uranus coming together, it's going to just I forget about those balloons. So it's going.
Oh my God.
It's funny. So it's going to bring about destruction in certain areas of our lives. But those things that are coming into destruction are sort of anchors that are slowing down the process to accelerate into the embodiment of the journey you're on. So, like, for example, I had in my family, I had two deaths back to back, and both of these deaths, especially the second one, which was very tragic and fucking very sad. It's a very sad fucking thing, but this death woke everybody up. It woke everybody up, and now all the people that in my family that this has affected more, it's accelerating massive growth in a big way, through trauma, through pain, through grief, But because Jupiter is here as well, the journey, the road towards this journey of what's happening is paved with opportunities, expansion, growth, and even fortune or luck or spiritual protection. You know what I'm saying? So with Jupiter and Uranus coming together, it can bring a massive instability to Taurus-like themes in our lives, how we feel about ourselves, how we value ourselves, our self-esteem, our money, the world money, food, resources. So it can bring about a massive destabilization. We could even see more talks right now that the economy is going to crash. Blah blah blah. I mean, they're always talking about it, but right now it could be a little bit more intense, a little bit more dramatic, because Jupiter is also the sign of hyperboles. I'm going to over exaggerate, overinflate everything. So we could be seeing an exaggeration around these themes as well. And with that, do you have any questions or comments, Alex?
No, you're on a roll. I do. I will say it does make sense. Like everything in the House of Taurus, seems to be related to what we're seeing in the greater world. Like Gen Z and millennials have been just sort of iced out of, they have no purchasing power, they can't buy a home, groceries eat up their entire paycheck, and that's everything tangible that it takes for a meat sack to make it around on this planet, like food, shelter, stuff of that nature. So it does seem like we're coming to like a pinch point, an inflection point, where it's just like it's not sustainable. Like we have humans sitting out on the street and empty skyscrapers. Like something's fucked up. Like we're a species on a planet. We should have figured this out. This does not seem like an unsolvable quandary. And I do think that maybe this is almost forcing us to like zoom out and then go, okay, we need to fix this, or here's an elegantly simple solution, because I just don't think that beings on other planets and in other realms live as complex as we do. I don't think it's like that hard of a fucking notion to put a roof over your species head. But I do think it's I do think that what you're describing here we're seeing play out in the physical.
Yeah. And thank you for that. I love what you were saying there, because like the moment you started saying all those things, it reminds me of what Klaus Schwab recently said: you will own nothing and you will be happy. And you're saying like, you know, Gen Z, millennials, you know, like their purchasing power is like little to nothing. And, you know, what does Taurus represents? Values and self-esteem and physical ownership. Like I own this car, I own this house, I own this business, I produce this. And all of those things contribute, you know, as a reflection of our self-esteem, because it's connected to our sense of security, and then also connected to our sense of confidence. So then because like now that I actually own my property, I own my home now. And since I've owned that, I've felt the shift in energy of my self-esteem. You know what I mean? Because it's a sense of security, and every human needs that. Every human has a right to having that. And so, you know, bringing this instability where we're in a world economy where it's harder to own something. You know, they're trying to even make it so you don't own any cars, where you're living in a 15-minute city and everything is provided for you, but still you own nothing. Like it's going to be a society of very fragile, weak, false self-esteem. And it's going to be retarded, you know. And, you know, Klaus Schwab, he said that you will own nothing and you will be happy, you know?
Which pisses me off, because it's not that no one will own anything. It's just that a small group at the top will own everything and you will own nothing. Not like
Mm-hmm.
we all won't. It's just a totally new system that we'll all be part of. No, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
He's owning a bunch of shit. No one's going to
Mm-hmm.
tell, you know, Bill Gates he can't own shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
he owns huge swaths of farmland. So it's just kind of this it's this funny, like very hypocritical thing. And then but notice that type of hypnosis, kind of like the eagle video
Right.
from earlier, the use the fire emoji.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to float this to you and you're going to consensually receive it, even on an unconscious way. And we're all
Yeah.
like, fuck off with that. I think they're all like surprised that that caught on. They're like, no, we're supposed to be like invisible in plain sight, like doing this in front of
Mm-hmm.
you, but you're supposed to be like watching the Kardashians.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, why are you paying attention? Stop paying attention. Like, stop
Mm-hmm.
seeing us in Davos. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty funny.
Yeah. Fucking excellent point. And going back to, you know, your example of like a lawyer wanting to be a baker, because so with Jupiter and Uranus, so your Uranus is unconventional. Uranus is all things outside of the traditional norms. And with Jupiter representing luck and fortune and expansion, and Uranus being unconventional, random, sudden, unpredictable, but genius at the same time, original. So Jupiter and Uranus coming together at this time for us, this is a moment that is, because this is a brand new 14-year cycle. So this is ushering in a whole new chapter in the Taurus parts of our individual natal chart. And so collectively, Taurus, this is values, this is money, this is producing. So this is entering a new chapter post the eclipse in Aries, a new chapter for people to really upgrade in their nervous system and in integrating and embodying a true physiological sense of value and self-love. And then so the Aries eclipse, you know, the Aries eclipse was all about identity and embracing your identity and walking your path and walking your truth, no matter how it's going to impact other people. Whereas you would have kept yourself small in order to avoid, you know, persecution of how folks will respond to you. So now this is like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. And your family and your wife and everybody's like, no, why? Blah, 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 blah. But really, it's because they love the money you make, you know? But they don't understand that that's not you. And your real passion is, you know, being a fucking baker. And you're like, no, I'm done being a lawyer. I'm going to be a baker. What? In this economy, there's already so many fucking bakeries out there. No. I'm going to be a baker, but I'm going to be a baker my way, you know, because this is who I am. So the total eclipse was entering towards this passageway of healing our ego, our ego identity, and becoming more bold and authentic and embracing our individuality and our truth. So as a result of like now coming out of the closet and being like, fuck being a lawyer, I'm a baker. And so then as a result, you now are upgrading your sense of value and self-esteem because you are being true to yourself. And then now it's then investing into that business, but investing it into ways that are unconventional, different. No one's ever done it this way before. And it's a beginning, new 14-year cycle. So the pathway with Jupiter there is blessed, it's blessed with protection. But Uranus, there's instability. So there's going to be random things. There's going to be agitation. There might be, intervals of high level anxiety, but that's the experience of the quantum leap. You're going through a lot very quickly, very fast. So it's not an easy, thing. It's a high quantum leap. You know what I'm saying? And personally, like in my life, I recently made a post of being able to identify recently parts of myself where I still keep myself small, and I'm afraid of allowing myself to reach a new level in my potential as an astrologer, as a public figure. I don't want to call myself a public figure, but like being out in the public and sharing myself. I've recently came cross paths with like a world famous, very very accomplished astrologer who's written books, who travels the world giving lectures, workshops, and she's old enough to be my mother. She's been doing this since I was a baby, you know what I mean? And she's very well academically trained. I'm like very self-taught, and I kind of have my own way in just through time and my experience. But for anybody that loves what I do, producing astrology forecasts, believe it or not, I used to not allow myself to share any of my astrological wisdom. I would write posts and then delete them and call myself a retard and telling myself, who am I to put myself out there? Like, I don't have anything of value, And it wasn't, so I started astrology back in 2007. It wasn't until 2020, 2021 where I started sharing my gifts with you all. So for 10 years or 12 years, it was just me and my private world. And then and then over the last few years of being public and being, actively professional astrologer, having my own business, I've been gaining my confidence and being like, no, like, wow, I actually am really good at this. Everybody is, I'm helping people in so many different ways. But now, crossing paths with this other astrologer, I recognized that there was still a wounded part of myself that was afraid, because here she is on the world stage, traveling the world. Everybody, I mean, not everybody knows her, but she's well known. You know what I mean? She's written books. She's not afraid, And so I being around her moved something within me, and realizing that I'm still afraid to be at that level. You know what I mean? And so, and that's because of our wound, because this eclipse was conjunct Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. And this is all in Aries. So this is all about identity. And part of my wounds growing up as a child was I struggled in school. Like, I was like not good in school. People thought I was dumb. People thought I was stupid. And so that became part of, my identity and my belief systems growing up that still operate on a very deep unconscious level. And even though I've done a lot of work and I'm able to push forward, it's a wound that won't really go away, but I have to learn to be aware of it and not let it hold me back. And so, so I'm sharing this story because it's a great example of the astrology and how it's affecting all of us. So now I'm at this point in being able to identify this wound and how I'm holding myself back because I'm afraid of how other astrologers that might be at a different caliber, more experienced, more seasoned, more well-known might criticize me and my intelligence and my skills, because that's what I experienced in my life growing up. Oh, he's the dumb one, don't listen to him, And so I'm not going to allow that to hold me back and really embrace my style of astrology, my life story, my experience, because I'm helping people, And I don't mean that in like an egoic, arrogant way. you guys are informing me how much I have been of great service to you all. So thank you for that. And so going to the astrology, this is the quantum leap. I just crossed paths with somebody that moved something within me that's accelerating a rapid level of growth and healing for me to get ready to take a leap in myself and in my journey where otherwise I probably wouldn't have done. I probably would have just kept myself in this contained little secret realm of being an astrologer, and not reaching all the people that I can reach. So with that, I'll pause there.
No, I think that's fucking brilliant because with the recent astrological movements, you had this chance occurrence where you meet up with somebody that is something to aspire to. Like you can have that, and then it also awoke something in you where it's like, wait, you've built this presence, you embody your value proposition, like astrological lady, and you are on the talking circuit and go around the globe and have a long list of clients. Like, why can't I have that? There have been many things I think that have informed you. I think it's kind of funny that you are a reincarnated pharaoh and you're just like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm not worth anything. And it's kind of funny because if you could zoom out and see the fullness of your Akashic records, you'd be like, oh damn, I am not to be trifled with. But it is kind of funny, but I mean, think about everything that's been kind of thrown your way, like your unique, like growing up, like being conscripted into the SSP, being Mexican bodied in the United States of America. It is very like, well, what do you know, or marginalized, or like we walk into Macy's and you get like, they're like, what's up with you? And then I walk into Macy's and they're like, how can I help you? Right? Like we're in one department store and we're having two very different experiences.
Yeah.
So like
I walk into Macy's and they're like, eyes on him, and you hear in the intercom, code 37J, code 37J.
Yeah, the little code that's like not supposed to be obvious, but it's very
like,
obvious.
Everybody be on watch. Mexican in the house.
He's going into housewares. And meanwhile, they're like, that looks so good on you. And I'm like, thank you. And I could just be like, like Winona Ryder, right? Like she just stole a bunch of shit and just like books it out the door. But I mean, that's all like programming. That's collective programming we've all been instilled with. We've all been informed by the media we consume to then treat you as such, and that so it's like kind of trickle down, right? And then we're sloughing it off, right? Another case in point. I don't want to derail too much, but I noticed like Hallmark Christmas movies and Lifetime television for women are oddly programmatic. They program the viewer. And in ways that I think like just espouse or promote what I call toxic femininity. There's just sort of a passivity in all the wrong ways and assertiveness, aggression in all the wrong ways. You can't watch Lifetime and it's all like, my babysitter's a secret murderer or something. It's like, oh my God, this kind of explains why like some of the women in my life are just like act bonkers sometimes because they're watching this and they're like, everything's out to get you. And you're like, no, we're just trying to pick out dinner.
Good
friendly fire.
I love that you bring that up because like currently like the main target audience of Lifetime and Hallmark films are Pluto Libra generation.
So
there's a lot to unpack about that. Yeah, and Pluto Libra generation I think is from like maybe 70, 72 all the way till 84. And so these are anyways, thank you for bringing that up because now you've just pinged me to like research a certain thing there with the Pluto Libra generation.
Well, good. Well, maybe that could be a little follow-up video. Like you write something up and then we kind of get it up as a spoken word thing. And more begets more. So I'm glad I brought it up. As we and wow, you really like, it's always an astrological fire hose of insight and wisdom. Is there anything, as we kind of come up to our hour point, is there anything else you want to just kind of zip up as far as current astrological transits go?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, there is. So the whole thing was like, and you're Mexican and you go into Macy's. And so that same kind of energy experience, I experienced that in the spiritual communities where I identify as a starseed. I identify as a Blu-ray individual, and I've been to a lot of different retreats or like spiritual events, and everyone there, that's identifies or resonates with the same thing of like the star seed, they're like very hippie and like totally vegan, like they're on it, identifying it with all the trend sets. You got to be vegan, you got to be this, you got to be that, you got to be that. But then I show up and I'm like, get me a fucking al pastor burrito please with some taco de lenguas, and yeah, I'll fucking get a Corona with that. And I'm showing up, just like just full off of food and beer. And then I'm like, what up family, star seeds? And they're like, no, he's not a star seed. Blah, blah, blah. How could he even eat animals? Blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's total bullshit. There's like a prejudice within these communities as well. A few years ago, I went to a spring equinox retreat in Sedona. And I went there because there was a woman that was going to be speaking there who is a Blu-ray ambassador. So she's an ambassador for Blu-ray star seeds. And I've
So you're like, hello.
yeah. And I've been listening to her content since like 2007. Okay. Her name is Shakina Rose. And she had a near-death experience, and her vocal cords were activated where she was then able to like sing at frequencies that no other human could sing. And she also became connected with the Blu-ray beings and other beings, and channeled music for them through light language. Well, I was watching one of her videos, and I received the transmission. Okay, she was like, towards the end, she was like, I'm going to be speaking here. Here is the Blu-ray transmission for this event. I received the transmission. Okay, and I was like, oh wow, I gotta go. Like transmission received. I'm gonna go. And I contact the event organizer, and I'm like, hey, my name is so and so. Is Shakina going to be offering readings or session while she's there? A huge fan of hers. I'm a Blu-ray myself. Would love to, work with her. And it's like, oh, she's not, but you can work with this person instead. Long story short, by the time I get there, I'm like, I had my braids. I had cornrow braids. My hair was long. I looked like a Mexican. Definitely not like the other people who are dressed more hippie, blah, blah, blah. I look more like a Chicano dude, like a Chicano Mexican who's ready to open a Corona, and like the eyes that were on me, anytime I tried to approach her, we're like, who is he? What are his motives? Is he just some fucking creepy pervert stalker? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm a fucking Blu-ray star seed, like, what the fuck? Back off, And I was telling this to Shelly the other day. I was like, I can't just abandon where I come from, I came from LA with fucking crack cocaine, meth addict parents in gangs. I grew up around that shit. I became that as well, I was rolling with gangs, became a meth addict myself, I cannot just drop it all and say that that's not me and that's not part of what molded me and shaped me. You know what I mean? We come in all shapes and sizes and colors and textures and different expressions, So I'm not going to just like become false like everybody else and act like, oh yeah, I got my shit together. I'm in alignment with the Most High, and I only eat raw fruits, and I'm on my way to be breatharian. Fuck that. I'm Mexican. I like Coronas. I like burritos. And yeah, I'm spiritual as fuck too. And what? So that's the last thing I want to say there.
Fuck it. Fucking preach. Fucking preach. No, that's delicious, and it's what needs to be heard. And I think that if there's like a cosmic cafeteria, like in high school or something, you'll have the preppies, you'll have the like the people in certain scenes. And I kind of like being. I always gravitate to the speakeasy, the underground, the like. That table over there that like nobody wants to sit at, but it's kind of got the best shit going on, hidden in plain sight shit. And I think that's Us to a T. I feel that a lot. I mean, with my gay ass persona, right? Like literally. And then, there is a bit of a weird, like, I went to East City Ranch. I think James Gilliland was just super weird, like very like no homo, like don't sit in that seat, you're gonna give me AIDS type of thing. And there's like just like calm down, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because I'm like, with the Playboy Playmate past life, I'm like, you fucking probably had my issue in your
Right.
attic somewhere. So
Right,
like
for
we
real.
come in many different forms. What can I tell you? But
Mhm.
it is very funny. Like I do think
Yeah.
the illusion falls, the illusion drops. We all step into our true beingness. And those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, this is your time. This is going to be a
Mhm.
great time. There's a
Mhm.
lot of fear porn. There's going to be a lot of like, whoa, the sky is falling. And I mean, that's change, right? But I don't think all our buildings are still here. The roads are still here. The water's still coming out of the faucet. Like
Yeah.
take some of these crazy moves in stride, and then give focus to your local community and your local, like start with your house, then your cul-de-sac, then zoom
Mhm.
out to your neighborhood,
Mhm.
and then from there let's just watch this realm shift like
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Well, so last thing, and then we'll just cut it, okay?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. You get the we
last,
could go on for
so
like 4 hours
I
legit.
know we can. So Shelly and I, we go to Dharma lecture once a week, sometimes twice a week. There's like a nice little Buddhist community here, and they're like Buddhist monks with a whole attire, shaved head, and everything. And we sit and listen to the Dharma lectures once a week, sometimes twice a week. And last week, I loved the fucking story that Venerable Panavati was sharing that day. And she was talking about a story, and she was like, many years ago there was this Buddha. I forgot the name of this bodhisattva. I forgot the name of this bodhisattva, but she was basically, it was like this bodhisattva was different than all the other ones. Like he loved to eat dog meat, and he was just very unconventional in his practice. And he arrived to this one monastery, and he's like, what's up, guys? I'm traveling. I'm just going to crash here for a little bit. And the main head of that monastery doesn't like him because he's totally unconventional. He eats dog meat. He smells. Oh, and also he doesn't shave his head. He kept his hair long, where all the other monks would shave their heads. But however, that head of that monastery, his master told him, anytime he comes around, you yield to him. So he never understood that, but he listened to his master, and so he gave him, he gave him a room to sleep in and all this stuff. And when he comes, he's like, okay, somebody start a fire and cook me my dog meat, and then I want to eat my dog meat and blah blah blah. And then the next day after they slept, the head of that monastery, he wakes up early. They all wake up early to do their chants and their prayer, but the dude, he's sleeping in, like, on the other room, snoring really loud. And so the monk can't concentrate and go into his meditation. And finally he gets so irritated, he wakes him up, and he's like, you know what? I can't stand you. You and your dog meat. And like, how are you even a bodhisattva when you don't even wake up to do your fucking morning meditations and your morning chants like the rest of us? And your hair is long and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're disturbing me and blah, blah, like, you're disturbing my meditation. And then he's like, okay, hold on. Actually, you're the one who's disturbed me last night. Okay, because there was a tick that entered your bed last night, and you, who took an oath to not hurt any living creature, grabbed that tick and threw it across the room, and you broke its leg. And so the tick was crying all night, which kept me up. So then I grabbed the tick and held him and healed him and let him go. Oh, and the other thing is that celestial beings, when every time he would come in, the celestial beings, they wouldn't deliver food to the monks. So celestial beings would come in and like leave food at their doorstep, like fruits and veggies and shit. But when he comes around, there's no celestial beings. So the head of that monastery thinks that the celestial beings aren't coming because this like, fake bodhisattva is here and he's fucking up with their high vibration. So then when he tells him about the tick, that head monk's like, you know what, let's just forget about it, And so then that guy, that bodhisattva, he eventually leaves. And then the celestial beings come back and deliver the food. And those monks were like, oh my gosh, like, where have you been? Like, we're so sorry that he was here and was messing up with our high vibe that you couldn't even come in and blah, blah, blah. And the celestial beings were like, we couldn't come in because he was low vibration. We couldn't come in because he was one of the highest vibrations. And he has protection from the devas that is so advanced that not even us celestial beings can penetrate that protection. We couldn't deliver the food because your vibration dropped. We couldn't deliver the food because we weren't high of the vibration he was. And so, long story short, that guy, even though he didn't shave his head, he had long hair, he liked to eat dog meat, he smelled, he wouldn't wake up early in the morning to do the chants and the meditations. He was one of the highest level bodhisattvas in that time, And so I resonated so deep with that. I know you resonate so deep with that, being that little part of the cafeteria where we're just a little bit more, the speakeasy underdog thing, kind of on edge. And with this whole spiritual thing of like, anyways, done. We're done.
No, that's an awesome one to end on. And we got Lauro in the comments before we go. Loved what you were saying. Preach.
Yeah.
And we also got the little like bullseye.
On point.
So awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We try to come at you a couple times a week. If you just we're a little bit sporadic given our what am I trying to say? Schedules. But what you really should do is subscribe to us on Rumble, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on X if you're feeling like it. And you'll always know when we're about to go live, when we're going to drop something. And then, follow up a few hours after. Our stuff is always live. If you want to connect with Mario and get some personal time and personal insight regarding your chart or your situation, you should go set up a reading with him at starseedsalsa.com. Also visit maybe my subreddit that I help moderate, located at Soul Nexus on Reddit. So with that, love, light, blessings, death and darkness. What is it you say? Give me the full spectrum thing and then we'll go.
Love and light, death and darkness, full spectrum.
Fuck yeah. All right. Bye, kids.
Peace, y'all.